Throughout history, we, as humans, have used the power of our minds to achieve incredible and amazing feats. In reality, our minds are simply tools we use to create our thoughts. And the quality of our thoughts determines the quality of our experiences. A simple shift in perception will quickly and easily improve how you feel and what you believe is possible, helping you to achieve all of your personal goals, even those that previously seemed unattainable. Join us now as we explore the vast landscapes of our minds. This is Mind Over Matter.
Hi, I'm Mitch Friedman.
Brandel and Jokiel, welcome to Mind Over Matter, where we teach you how to use the power of your mind to get more of what you want and feel better in your life.
That always sounds so good when you start the show off like that.
Well, right away, just saying the words, I start feeling it in my body. Woo! Saturday night, feel good. It's the weekend, time to have a good time.
It's true, and it's a great weekend. It's such a great weekend. I had such a busy week this week, so it's so nice that we got this weekend. I love weekends.
Me too. What's your favorite part of the weekend, Mitch?
Well, you know, Sundays have always been like a real kind of mellow day. Like, I've always taken Sundays, and it's kind of like a day off. No matter what's going on in my life, I always think of Sunday as really a day of rest.
You have to rest.
That's right. So Sunday's my day of rest. I love it. Yeah. So now it's Saturday. It's time to run around and have a good time and go outside and do lots of stuff so that I get to rest tomorrow.
Yes, a couple of Saturdays ago, you really worked hard for us. Bernie and I were having a nice Valentine's Day. We went to some of the Italian Film Festival, and you came all the way down to from Santa Fe, to watch Nick for us, and he had a blast.
I had such a good time. You know, it was really fun. I know, Brandy, I've talked about this on the show, that I'm always looking for the next thing that feels better than this. And I actually got that from modeling kids. So it was really fun. I don't spend a lot of time with kids, so I got to spend a whole afternoon, hours and hours, and all kinds of games and mousetrap and trouble, and it was pretty fun. But one thing I noticed, and it was really fun to get a little dose of this again, is the thing I love about kids is they just run around. I could watch it in their face, looking for the next thing that's more fun than what they're doing right now. Mm-hmm. And I'm so amused by that. There would be times when Nicholas would be really focused on the game and actually following the rules. He's 5 years old, so I was pretty impressed that he knew the rules and was following the rules. And then all of a sudden, that would all fall apart, and he'd be all over the game board and throwing dice all over the place. And I thought, this is so fun. I could see his mind working and thinking, what can I do right now that's more fun than this? And I got such a kick out of that. So it was a great reminder for me to just keep looking for the next thing and choosing joy every chance I get.
That's right. It's a great reminder for me to have an adult experience my child in such a wonderful way, since it's kind of the ocean that I swim in. I forget that just childlike, whoo, you know, because we're into our chores and getting things done. And so after you had that experience with him on Saturday, it was nice to kick back with him on Sunday and have some of that. You know, like, well, if Mitch can just play with Nick, well, I can get out of my doing stage and get into my being stage and just hang out with the kids a little bit more. And
be real present. I know you have to be really present with kids. Plus, I have to say, this kid, Nicholas, is one of the most brilliant children. I mean, he was just such a pleasure to be with. Sometimes I would forget. Some of my friends don't act as mature as he was acting in some of the restaurants. We went out to dinner, and I thought he was so adult and so mature, and his vocabulary was blowing my mind. So I really enjoyed it.
He was fun, and one thing about being present with kids, especially with Nick, if you're not present with him and he's asking you a question, asking me a question, I'll be like, what? Trying to do something. He'll go like this, Mom. Mom. And I'm just like, oh my God. And he sometimes he's actually grabbed my face, and he's like going to get your attention. So yeah, it's a great way to just be fully in your body, really present, and just being there with them. So once again, thank you, Mitchell.
Oh, my pleasure. We got to roll around on the floor, and we were all over the place. So I felt like I was 5 years old, which for me sometimes isn't a big jump. So, yeah, we got a great show today.
We do, talking about being present and seeing different parts of your mind. We have an excellent clip for you taken from the TEDS conference. And the TEDS conference is a conference that happens every year in Monterey, California, where the best and brightest minds in all kinds of fields come to speak. And we have the speech given by Jill Bolte Taylor last year. She's a neuroanatomist, so a brain scientist who in 1996, at the age of 37, my age, she had a stroke. And she talks about the experience of having a stroke from the inside out, meaning she studies the brain for a living. And what's really cool about this is that she's talking about what's happening in her brain during this time. Mitch and I can both totally relate that to what happens when you're in an altered state or in hypnosis. So we've got a lot of things to say about this clip after it's done. So it's a really great talk. Sit back and enjoy.
And she does it with such a great sense of humor, Brandy, too, I think. And you know, laugh, cry, it's just an emotional ride for me. I really enjoyed watching this. So enjoy the clip.
I grew up to study the brain because I have a brother who has been diagnosed with a brain disorder, schizophrenia. And as a sister and later as a scientist, I wanted to understand why is it that I can take my dreams, I can connect them to my reality, and I can make my dreams come true. What is it about my brother's brain and his schizophrenia that he cannot connect his dreams to a common and shared reality, so they instead become delusion? So I dedicated my career to research into the severe mental illnesses, and I moved from my home state of Indiana to Boston, where I was working in the lab of Dr. Francine Bennis in the Harvard Department of Psychiatry. And in the lab, we were asking the question, what are the biological differences between the brains of individuals who would be diagnosed as normal control as compared with the brains of individuals diagnosed with schizophrenia, schizoaffective, or bipolar disorder? So we were essentially mapping the microcircuitry of the brain, which cells are communicating with which cells, with which chemicals, and then in what quantities of those chemicals. So there was a lot of meaning in my life because I was performing this type of research during the day. But then in the evenings and on the weekends, I traveled as an advocate for NAMI, the National Alliance on Mental Illness. But on the morning of December 10, 1996, I woke up to discover that I had a brain disorder of my own. A blood vessel exploded in the left half of my brain. And in the course of 4 hours, I watched my brain completely deteriorate in its ability to process all information. On the morning of the hemorrhage, I could not walk, talk, read, write, or recall any of my life. I essentially became an infant in a woman's body. If you've ever seen a human brain, it's obvious that the two hemispheres are completely separate from one another. And I have brought for you a real human brain. Thank you. So this is a real human brain. This is the front of the brain, the back of the brain with the spinal cord hanging down. And this is how it would be positioned inside of my head. And when you look at the brain, it's obvious that the two cerebral cortices are completely separate from one another. For those of you who understand computers, our right hemisphere functions like a parallel processor, while our left hemisphere functions like a serial processor. The two hemispheres do communicate with one another through the corpus callosum, which is made up of some 300 million axonal fibers. But other than that, the two hemispheres are completely separate. Because they process information differently, each of our hemispheres think about different things, they care about different things, and dare I say, they have very different personalities.